If you're going through big transitions in your life and everything just feels out of your control, feels uncertain, feels all over the place, like shit has hit the fan, and you're feeling overwhelmed, doubtful, even afraid, then this episode is for you. And today I am pulling back the curtain on a deeply personal season of shedding and surrender where a lot is happening and changing in my own life. And I wanted to give you an insight in how I'm navigating this time of transition, of uncertainty, from leaving my relationship to feeling burnt out in my business and craving a deeper sense of home. So I'm sharing what it's really like to be making those big, uncomfortable, scary decisions when nothing else feels certain, and how to surrender, how to lean into the uncertainty and trust that you can weather this storm. So, we're going to talk about the difference between fear and intuition and how to build up that inner strength and inner peace within, and why resisting this phase of your life, this transition, this shedding, can actually block your energy and disrupt your peace. So, let's walk this unknown, uncertain path together. We've got this. Let's remember that our inner guidance is wiser than we think, and how to really listen to that during these times. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. I'm Sammy, a certified breakup and relationship coach, attachment specialist, former love addict, and spiritual junkie. This podcast is for you, the hopeless romantic who loves to love, and a safe space for us to explore and heal our attachment trauma, broken hearts, and love addictions. Together, we are on a mission to become the love of our own lives, so we can have successful, healthy, secure relationships with others. So if you're ready to create a life and love beyond your wildest desires, you're in the right place. Your journey towards becoming more secure in love and life starts now. Hello, my lovely, lovely listeners, and welcome back to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. It's been a while. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done an episode here, and that's because I have been traveling. And to be honest, life has been a little bit manic. It's been a little bit all over the place for the last 6 months, actually, and I just wanted to take this time with you guys here to just go through some of the things that have been happening in my life, both personally and professionally, and bring it into the theme of navigating uncertainty when things just seem to be all over the place and shit is hitting the fan, and how to really stay grounded and prioritize your peace during this time. And this is a very off the cuff episode. I don't really have an outline or script. I'm just going to see where things flow and just speak to you in real time. Just you and I, human to human, heart to heart, have a real conversation, because I feel like a lot of people are going through some level of uncertainty right now, whether that's physical uncertainty with health or environment, career, relationship uncertainty, financial uncertainty, spiritual uncertainty. It seems like 2025 is kicking us all up the butt. But uncertainty and change can be absolutely incredible and amazing, and really shift us into a space in our life where we actually need to be. So let's just dive right in and give you a couple of updates on what's going on my end. So if you don't know already, I am back in the UK, Wales. I'm back in my country, and guys, when I say it feels right, it feels so right to be here. I haven't really had this feeling for the last 10 years that I've been living in Asia, where I have come back to my home country and felt like this is where I need to be. I've always felt quite resistant coming back in the past and wanted to get back to Thailand because that's where I feel like I needed to be. And I did back then, but things have really shifted in a big, big way. It's pretty funny actually, because the word that I set for this year for myself was grounding. Because even at the beginning of the year, I was really craving more stability, more grounding, just routine and not being all over the place. And it's really quite ironic that the last 6 months has been the opposite of that. But I really do believe that it is because I am entering into that space of more grounding and stability, and things just need to be removed before I can get to that space, because I didn't realize there are parts of my life that I was just not really in alignment with. And God will speak to us in this subtle, gentle way, because, of course, we have free will over our lives and we have free will over our choices, but we are always being divinely guided. And then sometimes we're not listening. It comes in a big way where God is almost like, all right, you're not listening to me, so I'm just going to make this happen because I know it's in your own good. I know that you are out of alignment and you need to be over here. I need to hurry this transition along because you need to be over here where all your desires are going to come true and you're going to be happier and healthier and more fulfilled. So the last 6 months for me really have been a season of shedding and also surrender. So like I said, I've been craving a home for quite a while now, and I haven't really been feeling right in Thailand since last year. I've been there for 10 years, and the thought of moving out and closing things up there is actually pretty scary, but it feels right. And I've almost like been ignoring it a little bit. And now that I'm here, I feel so grounded and settled. So I feel like the time has come where I'm really facing that real decision to decide to leave Thailand and to move back to the UK or possibly Europe. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to be next in terms of my physical environment, but what I do know is that I need to be over this side of the world now. It feels right. I feel called, and I've been having these conversations with a few people, both in my place where I live in Chiang Mai in Thailand, but also I've been seeing it online as well, where a lot of digital nomads or expats who have been living abroad for a few years now are feeling the calling to return to their hometowns. It's so interesting that I'm seeing this as a theme, and I want you to let me know if you are also, if you are someone who's been traveling or living abroad and you're feeling called to return to your hometown, or maybe it's the opposite and you are being called to leave your hometown and be somewhere else, facing the decision to uproot from a home that we have been previously in to choose another place to call home. It can be quite scary if it's a new country, and sometimes I feel like the UK is a new country for me. I've been away for so long and I've changed as a person. But I'm starting to notice that I see my home country in such a different light now than I used to. And it's because I did the work on myself and I was able to heal all the traumas that I've associated with my home country. And now I feel like I can really thrive here. Whereas before, I felt like I was being trapped in a box, that I was on this tiny little corner of the world, suffocating. But it wasn't the physical environment, it was the mental environment that I was keeping myself trapped in. But now all of that has been looked at, has been healed, has been unraveled. And now I have evolved into the person that I've always wanted to become and can be in my own home country. And as a result of this calling, this desire to return to the UK, some of my relationships have been affected by that. The primary one being my romantic relationship. As you guys know, if you've been listening to a few of my episodes, my partner is not from the UK and we met in Thailand. And now I'm facing the decision whether this relationship is something that is going to serve me long term in this long term plan and dream and desire that I have to return to this side of the world. He doesn't share that. That's something that we cannot ignore. And maybe you find yourself in this situation as well, where you find that you've been with your partner for a few years or maybe even a few months, and you're starting to realize that your paths are not aligning anymore. We need to have those hard conversations of what's best for us, because for me, that's what love means, is to want the best for each other. And if that means separating, then how can we do that in the most loving, respectful, conscious way that supports us both to go after our dreams, to be where we feel like we need to be, without the drama, without the intense breakups. And that's where we're at. We're having those conversations, and sometimes we have, I know, at least I do, have that desire to just go back on what I've said or not follow my heart because I want to sustain the relationship in some way. But I know that I would be doing myself a disservice. I know that if I retracted saying to him that I'm not sure if we are aligned long term would be self-abandonment. And if we are staying in relationships that are not meant for us anymore, that are out of alignment anyway, whether it's someone who is not treating you well, or maybe we feel like we're settling, if we decide to stay in it because it feels safe, because it feels comfortable, then we are doing ourselves a disservice. We are then going into a space of self-abandonment. And years ago, I promised myself I will never do that again. I will never put myself in a position where I am ignoring my own needs, my own desires, and putting them before me just because I don't want to be alone, just because I believe that there's no one else out there for me. No, they are beliefs and stories that are keeping us trapped in that fear. That's keeping us trapped in situations, whether it's relationship or career or anything, because we're so scared to take those risks. Because with risks comes uncertainty, becomes the unknown, comes fear, and we don't feel strong enough to be in that space. And that's one of the things that we really have to do with ourselves, is build up that inner strength so we can face those big decisions that we need to make for our own lives. So even though there was nothing wrong in my relationship, I had to make that decision that it was no longer in my best interest to be in the relationship. And that's hard, guys. That's really, really hard. And I have been going through my process, and it's been eye-opening, also gentle. Of course, I've been having my moments where I doubted myself. I've been crying for hours. Of course, like all that is still there, but I've been able to hold myself through it. It's so very different to the breakups that I have been going through in the past, where it feels like the world is ending and that I cannot function without this person in my life. I know that the best thing for us is to go our separate ways right now. And when you have built up so much inner strength, inner trust, inner peace within yourself, you are able to go forward and make these decisions knowing that you are doing the right thing by you. And even if you do have those moments of doubt, you can be with yourself during those times and talk to yourself lovingly, compassionately. I've also been evaluating my business as a whole. I have been going through episodes of burnout. I'm going to just be transparent with you guys. I have. If you are a business owner or self-employed in any way, you will know how freaking hard it can be sometimes, that you constantly have to be on. You constantly have to be thinking about what's the next step, what's the next thing, how can I do more of this, how can I do less of that, and it's just non-stop. And I've had to have some real honest conversations with myself in regards to my boundaries. Where am I crossing my own boundaries? Where are my energetic leaks in my business? I've had to really pull back. And that's what I've been doing during this time where I've been traveling, is just pulling back a little bit and seeing, right, this is a one-way trip to burnout. Where do I need to make some changes? What things do I need to outsource? And we can get really caught up in our career and our business and tie a lot of our self-worth to this as well, and put so much pressure on ourselves, especially if we've grown up with perfectionism, people pleasing, proving mechanisms in order to be liked, loved, and approved of. That can ripple, that can bleed into what we do for a career, for a business. And if we're not careful, we can get really sucked into it and get really attached to it. I've been finding myself doing that in moments. I've been aware of it, but I've been working on strategies and systems in order to pull myself out of it. So that's where I'm at. Nothing really has changed in regards to my mission and my work as a whole, but it is how I'm showing up in the business that needs my attention. And you can apply this to business, relationship, life. How we show up is important, and having to have those difficult conversations, even with ourselves, being honest and calling ourselves out in the ways that we are abandoning ourselves in any area of our lives. And then there's the whole freaking world and what's going on out there. There's so much happening right now. At the time of recording, the US has bombed Iran, and there's floods and tornadoes happening in the US, and shit's going down in the UK. It's heavy. It's very heavy, and it's out of our control. And a lot of us feel very helpless when it comes to global issues, and we can start questioning everything. And what do we do, and how do we help? And sometimes a lot of us go into a state of shutdown because we don't know what to do or how to help, so we just do nothing. But it can be a very difficult place to be when the world feels so uncertain, when the economy feels like it's not stable. And as scary as this all can be, it can be a real invitation and a realization for us all to remember that there is no such thing as certainty. Certainty is a complete illusion that we give ourselves in order to feel safe. At the end of the day, we don't want more certainty. We want what certainty gives us, and that is safety. So when your world or the world feels like it's all over the place and out of your control, that's when we need to take a step back and be like, okay, if I'm outsourcing my sense of certainty in this world, then I'm putting my power in other people's hands. I need to come back to creating that inner safety within myself. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to do that at the end. But whatever type of uncertainty you're going through, then you're not alone and you're not going crazy. And even though the world feels like it's falling apart right now, we're in it together. More people than you realize go through phases of uncertainty, and sometimes we can feel like the only one when we're looking on social media, or we're looking at our friends and our family and just people out there, and they always seem to have their shit together, but no one's really got their shit together. Which is very good at presenting that. But adulting is tough. And that's why we need more vulnerability. We need more honesty. We need more connection in this world where we're becoming more individualistic, we're becoming more disconnected, and we're becoming more lonely. And that's when we have that feeling like the world is against us, and that we've lost our grip on reality and our grip on life and everything. So what I've noticed on a personal level is that I'm really listening to my intuition in a way that I've never had before. Like a lot of us who are anxiously attached, we've been disconnected from our intuition. We've been taught and trained to trust things outside of ourselves rather than that voice within. And fear can be quite loud. It can be louder than intuition. So when fear is screaming in our faces and slapping us silly, we tend to listen to that. And it puts us in such a state of fear that we don't listen to our intuition. We ignore it. We stay stuck. We stay safe. We don't go ahead and make those changes or take that risk because we're petrified. We haven't learned the skills to hold ourselves through the storms, to stay still through the storms, to dance in the rain. We've been taught to stay safe, stay in that safe job, save up for your retirement, and stay in that relationship because it's better than being alone or being on your own. Like, this is generational thinking coming down into us, but our generation are taking more risks. And I sometimes see that the more risks we take, the more we lean into uncertainty, the louder fear may become. Because we still hold those invisible blocks and invisible energy of wanting to stay safe and wanting to stay in a place of certainty and comfort. We panic and we resist and we try to hold on, and we don't like it when things are storming around us. So even though I'm still having those voices in my mind that I may be making the quote unquote wrong decision in my relationship, in my decisions, I'm not subscribing to the idea that there is a right or wrong decision, only what is best for me. And I've come to train myself to trust my intuition. We don't trust it. We don't, because it doesn't make sense to us on a logical perspective. We don't tend to follow it. We don't tend to follow those feelings, or we can get confused as to whether this is an attachment issue or if it is fear. A lot of us who are anxiously attached may think that if we're getting nudges and feelings that this may not be the right relationship or the right person, we may put that down to the fact that we're just traumatized on an attachment level, that we cannot be in a relationship with a good guy, when really actually what's happening is that yes, it's a good guy, but it's not our guy. And it's about deciphering the difference between feeling resistant because it's an attachment trauma issue and feeling resistant because it's an intuition issue. But when we ignore what we know on a gut level, what we know about a relationship, about a career choice, about a location choice, about anything in your life, that's going to show up as burnout, as breakdowns, as physical illness, as people pleasing, as just feeling drained from energy, feeling unfulfilled, feeling unhappy. And this is because we're out of alignment with where we are meant to be. I truly believe that God places certain desires in our hearts. We're not the same. We all have different desires and different purposes in this life, in this world. And when we steer away from that, they are the symptoms that then ultimately show up. Burnout, breakdowns, physical illness, mental illness. And what often happens is that we get so far down the deep dark hole that we have no choice but to listen to that intuition. It's like, all right, I've tried to do this all on my own, and I'm just going to surrender now. I'm just going to surrender and just follow the feeling, because I've got nothing more to lose. I've been spending all this time trying to control this over here and trying to control that and trying to make things go my way. But really what I've been doing is resisting. I've been resisting God. I've been resisting myself. God will come and remove things that are not meant for you. He will, one way or another, and He will gently guide us to the path that we are meant to be on. And we cannot decipher that in our human brain sometimes. So yes, there will be moments in your life where you will need to surrender. And maybe you already have, and I want to invite you to pull upon those evidence that you have where you may have followed that voice or intuitive hit before, and it has paid off. Remember that we tend to forget these moments where we have followed our intuition, and we tend to forget the times where God has guided us, where He has had our back, where He has led us to a place that we thought we could never be. If we were in a relationship and we thought it could never get as better as this because we're dealing with beliefs that we're not good enough or that we're not worthy, and then that relationship breaks down and this incredible partner comes along and we're like, oh my gosh, if I didn't get out of that relationship and create that space, there is no way that this opportunity can come in. And risk and possibility are two sides of the same coin. When we take a risk, when we take a bet on ourselves, whether it is a career change, a relationship, or moving homes around the world, when we take that bet on ourselves, our lives will then transform. But we do have to take those risks. So coming back to where I'm at the moment, it's very unknown. Things are still very unsettled, uncertain. I don't know how my business is going to evolve now with all of these changes that I'm making. It's very exciting. I'm feeling flutters of excitement. And that's the thing, when things feel uncertain, fear and excitement, again, are two sides of the same coin. We can hold both We can one day feel like, oh my God, like everything is just feeling so out of my control and I don't know what's going to happen. And I feel like I'm just fluttering away in the air like a plastic bag. And then other days it's like, oh my gosh, this is exciting because I don't know what's going to happen from here. But I'm trusting. I'm trusting myself. I'm trusting God to lead the way, that I know. I know I have everything that I need to make things happen. I can trust myself during this phase of my life. It is safe to surrender. It is safe to not know, because I have built this inner strength, this inner trust that I know everything is going to be okay. It's going to be more than okay. It's going to be fabulous. It's going to be amazing. And when we just zoom out for a minute and look at life, our one precious life. And someone asked me this question 10 years ago when I made that initial risk and decision to give up everything and move to Thailand. What type of life do you want to live? Do you want to live the mundane, everything's the same, everything is comfortable, you uncertain all of the time? Or do you want to live a life that is full of excitement, full of ups and downs, full of emotions? And there, again, is no right or wrong answer. It is what is right for you. But I remember thinking, oh, hell no, I do not want to live a life where everything is mundane and routine. Even though I am craving more routine and certainty right now, I feel like I've kind of swung the pendulum over the other way. But that's what life's about, right? We do get in ourselves out of balance sometimes, and that's okay. That's okay. We're human beings. Can we give ourselves a little bit of compassion and grace to not be perfect? What's important is that we're aware of it. We're aware when we're out of balance. We're aware that we're playing life too safe or too risky, and coming back into the middle ground. We hear a lot as well of people talking about the comfort zone, that nothing really happens in the comfort zone. And I pretty much agree. When we stay too comfortable and too safe in our lives, things remain the same. And if we want changes, if we want to achieve certain goals, we do have to step outside that comfort zone. And what's outside that comfort zone is the learning zone. And that's when we are being stretched in our capacity, in our nervous system. And that's when we are being called to invite in surrender, invite in a state of feeling safe to lose control. But we don't want to overwhelm our systems, because that can plummet us back into our comfort zone, and we're not going to go do that again because we nearly drowned. We don't want to drown. We want to swim. We want to be keeping our head above the water. So again, it is a balance of putting ourselves out there, taking risks, but feeling safe in doing so. So you're like, yep, there's things in my life right now that feel uncertain. I'm resonating with feeling like I've lost control of my life, of myself. I've left my relationship. I'm full of fear of being alone and trying to navigate life all by myself. I'm changing careers. I'm in a transition. I'm in the in-between. And like I said, it is up to us whether we see that as a very scary place to be or an exciting place to be. So I'm going to tell you one thing that is really helping, still helping, and it has helped me for years in being in the in-between, being in a transitional, shedding, surrendering phase in life, and still feeling grounded, still feeling calm, still feeling like I've got this, I'm all right. Even though things are crumbling around me, I can trust that it's in my own good. I can feel safe in the crumble. I know that this all going to fall apart in order to be rebuilt again in the way that is going to take me to things that are beyond my imagination. And that is nervous system regulation, guys. I cannot stress this enough. Whether you're healing your anxious attachment, whether you're going through a big transition in your life right now, you need nervous system regulation. You need to be able to hold yourself through the storms. Nervous system regulation is a little bit like the umbrella. It's keeping you dry, it's keeping you warm, and it's keeping you safe in the storm. So our default may think that in order to create more safety and certainty in our lives, we need to be able to control everything around us. We need things to be a certain way. Or we tell ourselves, Oh, it's as soon as I have this amount of money in the bank, then I'll feel safe. Or as soon as I get into that next relationship, then I'll feel safe. Or get my business to this space, then I'll feel safe. No. Again, you're outsourcing your power to other things when inner safety is something that you create within. It comes from within. It comes from nervous system regulation. It is absolutely non-negotiable in these uncertain times. So nervous system regulation is just a fancy word for self-soothing, and this looks different for everybody. And it basically means your habits, how you are staying centered and grounded throughout the day. For me, breath work is my number one nervous system regulating activity. For some people, it's yoga. It could be going for walks. There's so much that we can do on a somatic level to keep ourselves centered and grounded. If you want to know more about nervous system regulation, get some more suggestions of what you could try out, I would encourage you and invite you to watch my Anxious to Anchored masterclass. It's completely free. The link is in the show notes, or you can just throw me a DM with let's say the word anchored. Send me the word anchored and I will send you the link to that masterclass, or you can get it in the show notes as well. That is a deep dive into what nervous system regulation is all about. But guys, please start to instill some habits in your daily life, in the morning preferably, so you can prime yourself for whatever comes during the day, of whatever challenges and obstacles that you face, that you will be able to stay focused, centered, and grounded through it all. Because on the other side of those obstacles are opportunities. When we start to jump over those obstacles, we leap into opportunities. Oh my gosh, that sounds so cliche, but it's so true. So go ahead and check out that masterclass if you are someone who is more interested in putting this in place for yourself during this time. And I also just want to finish up this episode by giving you some questions to really ponder on. I want to give you these to take away with, to really think and start to integrate the learnings that you've got from this podcast. And that is, how can you just protect your energy right now? If you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, anxious, what are some of the things that you can remove or create space for? We need to create space for the transition to go through successfully, for the shedding, for the surrendering. If we're keeping ourselves busy all the time, we're completely missing the point. We're not being with ourselves. We're not being in a state of surrender. When we are busy, we're trying to either numb ourselves or trying to control things. So how can you create more space in your life right now, in your days? How can you protect your energy? What are the biggest energetic leaks right now in your life? Is it certain people? Is it certain situations? How can you create more space? And where are you ignoring your intuition? What are those hard truths that you are too scared to admit? Write them down. Just write them down. Just become aware of those truths and just allow them to simmer within you. You don't have to do anything with them right now, but just acknowledge them. What are you afraid of admitting? And what would it look like to really trust yourself in this transitional phase? Even if it feels so terrifying right now, what does that look like to trust yourself? What would you do differently? What are those needs that you are neglecting that you need to start paying attention to? How can you create more inner safety and grounding, spoiler alert, nervous system regulation, for yourself during this time, so you can weather the storm and build up that inner strength within? So before we say goodbye, I just want to leave you with this, that if you're feeling like things are just really hard right now, that things are just not working out the way that you thought they would, and you just feel like you just keep pushing and pushing, that you're making decisions that are just putting you further and further down into deep unfulfillment or unhappiness or confusion or overwhelm, I want you to remember these are all symptoms of misalignment, and sometimes we just need to take a step back to create that space, because when we are in alignment, that's when things will start to become magnetic. You will become magnetic. Things will just start to fall in place. And I've witnessed this in my own life in massive and minor ways that things will just start to happen. But we need to get ourselves into that space of alignment, aligning our mind, body, and soul with where we need to be. And also that you are meant to be in this space. You are meant to be challenged right now. You are meant to be pushed. You are meant to be stretched. This is evolving you. This is all part of your evolution, your soul evolution in this life. How can you trust it and embrace it and even enjoy it? Enjoy the transition, enjoy the growth, enjoy the shedding, and know that when you lean into it, incredible things will come out of it. But if you resist it, you will keep yourself stuck in that space. So that's all I have for you today, my loves. Thank you so much for being here and listening and holding the space for my sharing, my personal shares in regards to what's going on in my life. And as always, I'd love to know if you resonate, if there's anything that you would love to share with me as well. And just let's have these conversations. Just know that you're not alone, that everybody goes through these phases in their life of doubt and unknown and uncertainty. So thank you for being here, for choosing to walk this unknown path with me, with your heart open. You're braver than you think. That's literally what I told myself this morning. You're braver than you think, and you've got this. All right, loves. See you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me on the Relationship Rehab podcast. I hope that this episode has supported you in healing, growing, and evolving out of insecure attachment and unhealthy relationship patterns and into safe, authentic love with yourself and others. If you enjoyed the episode, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would just take a second to rate and review this podcast. Every rating and review from you guys counts, as it really helps this podcast to grow so it can reach more people who need to hear this content. And don't forget to connect with me on social media. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode, share it on your IG stories, and tag me at the.relationship.rehab with your biggest takeaway from the episode. I really do love reading them. See you back here next week for another episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast.